Sup, guys? It's Toad back with you. Better Off Dead, Saturday, June 28th. The slump continues as we go 0-3 yesterday. I don't even know what to say, man. Tampa, Baltimore, I mean, that's the type of game where it makes you look as bad as possible, as wrong as possible, as I gave out the under in that game, and it was a 22-8 final. But the good thing about it is you're absolutely sure that it's a loser right away, so you can just forget about it. Of course, as I continue to point out, I'm not actually putting money on these games right now, so just be aware of that, although I am handicapping as if I was anyway, giving out what my best plays actually are. That one, of course, was just, I mean, sometimes it happens, man. You're not going to be right all the time. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be right even close to all the time. So, but that one, it's, again, at least easier to just stomach it because it's just dead right away. So you're just like, okay, we'll move on from that. Cecconi actually wasn't that bad in the game. If you look at some of his like peripherals, kind of, but I mean, he doesn't strike a lot of guys out, but he just gave up a lot of hits. He was too hittable. And then I don't know what happened with Pepio. He was gone from that game really early. He just got rocked. It's just hard to figure out some of these games, man. And then we had Seattle, Texas. I liked the under in that one. I gave that one out. That one was looking decent. Well, I don't know about decent, but it was looking like it could get there once we got into like the fourth inning. I think it was a 2-1 game. So it's like, all right, you know, it's teetering on the edge, and then it just completely unraveled. And in that one, Eovaldi was on a pitch count, which I said I thought that he might be, but at least if you go first 5 innings, you're at least expecting a guy who's a veteran like that. Well, he'll probably go like 5 innings maybe and get you through that. But I think he only went 3 innings in the game. I think he was on like a pretty serious pitch count in the game, so that sucks when you have a guy coming back from injury. Again, you have to try to gauge how deep is this pitcher going to go into the game. So it is a bit of a risk there, but I liked it. And then Logan Gilbert was okay on the other side, but not good enough to get that thing under. And then the final score looked worse than it actually was because it went into extra innings. It went 12 innings, and I think 3 runs were scored in the extra innings portion of the game, which the ghost runner is bullshit, man. If you have an under, game goes to extra innings, you're basically doomed. The ghost runner has to go away, man. I mean, what is that? For COVID reasons, except, it makes the game more exciting? No, it doesn't, because you're not earning it. It makes it into some bullshit arcade game. If you want that, just go see the Savannah Bananas, man, because it's way more entertaining than that. So, yeah, fuck all that. So that was a loss. And Kansas City absolutely should have won, dude. Kansas City, they were winning the game. They came back from a 3-1 deficit. They were winning 4-3 in the middle of the game. Cameron wasn't the best, but Dustin May was awful in the game. And then Kansas City out-hit the Dodgers in that game 11-4, and they lost the game. I mean, you almost never see that. The Dodgers had more runs than hits in the game. It's just such bullshit, man. That should have been a win. I mean, that was just an unlucky set of circumstances you almost never see. You have a team that out-hits their opponent by almost 3 times as many hits. You're almost always going to get that win. And it was at an underdog price. And then, of course, you almost never see a team get more runs scored than the amount of hits that they put up. So that was just a bad set of circumstances. That one should have been a winner. The other 2 were losers. That one should have been a win. We'll move on to today. I'm going to give out 2 baseball plays today. Aaron, what's up, man? Oh, thank you, sir. Hopefully this gives you some Tower Gang fix, even though there's no banter here. Maybe I should do a sports show, get Cole back, maybe do a sports show where we're arguing about shit because nobody agrees with me on anything, and have have a sports show with multiple dudes, sort of like Tower Gang, but not really. I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking about right now. Charles, what's up, man? Yeah, the Kansas City thing, that should have been a win. I mean, obviously that was a play that the public would absolutely hate. Like, nobody was going to want that play yesterday, and I did, and it should have won. So it's unfortunate. But again, as I've been saying, I am trying to conserve my money here, so I'm not actually putting money on it. But that one would be one that makes me really enraged. That one is way more enraging than like a loss, like the 22-8 game, which is just way easier to take. Let me zoom in on this here. We're going to talk about WNBA first briefly. Swole King Cole. Yeah, I mean, it could be, I don't know if it would be Better Off Dead, or it could be like a spin-off of Better Off Dead that's me and him. Call it something else like I do with Clint with Bald, where we only have 2 episodes. But I'd have to come up with a name for it, because you basically have like a jacked dude with Cole, and then me, who's, I don't know, kind of the fat heel of the show maybe, but we're also both complete idiots. So I don't know, man. Although not really, but we come across that way maybe. At WNBA, we have 1 game, Washington at Dallas. 86% of the tickets are on Washington. This is a 2.5-point road favorite. Dallas has 80% of the cash on them. Now, this is a game where Dallas is coming off a big game, dude. They played Indiana last night, and they did lose. Now, Caitlin Clark did not come back for that game, so I told you the line was indicating she wasn't going to play. She did not play, so it was going to be a big game for both teams, really, because it was going to be Caitlin Clark against Beckers, but, of course, the rematch of the college Final Four game there didn't happen because Clark was not there. It was still a big game for both teams, and Indiana had a lead almost the entire way, and Dallas caught all the way up and almost won the game late. So it was a big game, though, still. I mean, Indiana draws a lot of focus from a lot of teams anyway, so Dallas coming off that and having no rest on a back-to-back, although they are staying at home. I don't love the spot for Dallas here, but Washington's also in a bad spot as they just pulled off multiple straight upsets, and they just beat Dallas by 3 in Washington not that long ago. So it's maybe a little bit of a revenge spot for Dallas. But after Washington did that, they beat Minnesota and Vegas on the road. So they pulled off 2 straight upsets. So Washington kind of flying above their pay grade right now. So this is a hard game to handicap because both teams are in spots where I would want to fade them. So I'm not going to do anything with the game. The money is coming in on the Dallas side for what it's worth, getting the points as the home underdog. And in that game that was at Washington, what was the line in that game? Let's see. Washington was 5.5 at home, which it looks like there was some weird line movement in that one too, probably some personnel changes. So if Washington was 5.5 in that game, them being 2.5 on the road is pretty close to where the number should be. So not really a way off line or anything like that. So that's all I really have to say about that. Both teams are in bad spots. As I leave the comment up on the screen there. Yeah, greased up artards. Yeah, I don't know. Dangerous. There's a chance that Dangerous comes back. I mean, I don't even know, man. I don't want to say what's going on, but there's a chance that Dangerous is going to be back in some capacity. There may be a chance that Tower Gang is back in some capacity. We don't know what's going to happen yet, man. It sucks when there's a rift and your friends are fighting or your fathers are fighting. Stay together for the kids, man. All right. Baseball, let's go. A's at Yankees here. The Yankees took the first game of the series 3-0 yesterday, but the A's didn't use a lot of their bullpen at all. They only used 1 relief pitcher, so the Yankees used more of their bullpen, but the A's bullpen is terrible, so I don't know how much that really even matters. Then looking at the starting pitching, J.P. Sears is pitching, and he's the guy that the Yankees traded away, and I was kind of laughing at it for a little while because Sears was actually doing pretty well for a while last year. He has already faced the Yankees, so that type of angle isn't going to come into play here where, oh, this pitcher's going to step up the first time he faces the team that got rid of him. That's not going to be the case here. Sears also, I don't think, has done that well when he's faced the Yankees in that capacity. This year, he hasn't done well either with a 5.44 ERA and 1.33 whip. Although, remember, pitching at that A's stadium is very difficult, and Sears has a ton of home runs, 18 home runs, but 12 of them have been in that home stadium at Sacramento, that horrible AAA stadium that allows a lot of home runs. So he has been better on the road with a 4.62 ERA on the road, which is at least more serviceable. This month he has a bad 6.08 ERA, and his team has lost 4 of his 5 starts and lost 3 starts prior to that. And they actually won his start against the Yankees earlier this year at the A's stadium. Sears actually held them to 1 run in 5 innings, and they won that one. But that means the Yankees are recently familiar with him because that was only a month ago, basically. Again, he hasn't done well this month with a 6.08 ERA in 5 starts, but he actually does have a 20-8 strikeout walk ratio. So The strikeout walk ratio is not that bad, but it is 5-5 over his last 2 outings, and he got kind of rocked by Houston, giving up 3 home runs, 5 earned runs, no strikeouts, 3 walks, and 3 1/3. That's a bad outing. Bounced back a little bit with a good outing against Cleveland, decent outing, although Cleveland's not a very good offense. Yankees, obviously, definitely a good offense, and Sears doesn't do well against them. It's 61 at bats, 14-6 strikeout walk ratio, not great. 311 batting average, allowed him 1,062 OPS. Goldschmidt 4 for 7 with a home run off him, does particularly well against him. Of course, Stanton is now back for the Yankees, which is going to help their offense. Don't love Sears in this spot. Don't love the A's bullpen, even though they are rested. Clark Schmidt pitching for the Yankees, and he's kind of turned his season around recently because I have never thought he was that good, but right now his numbers are actually good. 2.84 ERA, 1.06 whip. This month he's been really good with a 1.03 ERA, 23-6 strikeout walk ratio, 7 no-hit innings last time out against Baltimore, 3 straight starts without allowing a run, although they were against Kansas City, Anaheim, Baltimore. Not the greatest offenses, but he also allowed no runs again against Anaheim to close May. So 4 of his last 5 starts, he's allowed no runs, which is pretty much insane. So he is actually pitching really well right now. He's better at home with a 2.3 home ERA. Against the A's, he hasn't done well in a small sample size of 19. 4-4 strikeout walk ratio, 316 average, and 1,048 OPS. But obviously, I am willing to say that Clark Schmidt has the edge over JP Sears in this game based on, their recent performance. Obviously, Schmidt has been better, but you're laying a huge price if you want the Yankees. They're up from -240 to -255. 83% of tickets, 93% of the cash. Total is high as well, up from 9 juice to the under to 9 juice to the over. I could see the over happening in this game because we have the Yankees bullpen not very rested, so Schmidt is out of the game, and Schmidt hasn't done that well against the Yankees, or against the A's, in the past. Sears is likely to give up runs in this game, and then the A's bullpen is probably not going to help you out either. So the over seems to make sense here with 54% of tickets, 98% of cash on the over. Probably the best lean, and maybe the other way to look at it is Yankees over their team total. Yankees are taking the money on the money line up from -240, -255, 83% of tickets, 93% of the cash. But I wouldn't lay a price like that. Probably wouldn't even want to lay the run line with them. I think it's just too much of a price on a public team like that. And instead, team total over for the Yankees might be the way to go. Although you're probably asking them to score about 6 runs in the game, but they might be able to do that against Sears plus the A's bullpen. Probably the way that I look at that. Minnesota at Detroit. Detroit, I believe, was able to... Oh, no, Detroit lost. Excuse me. They did lose yesterday, 4-1. So Minnesota able to kind of start... They're trying to start turning it around, man, because Minnesota's been playing some pretty bad baseball recently. They wound up going with Festa as their pitcher yesterday. It was when I did the show yesterday, they hadn't decided on a pitcher. Festa pitched. Twins used more of their bullpen yesterday, and their bullpen hasn't been as good as Detroit's. So Detroit's bullpen is probably in somewhat better shape here, because they had to kind of do a bullpen game yesterday, so they kind of expected that. Gibson Long got them into the 6th inning, though, and did decently. So Tigers' bullpen is the better of the two and is in better shape here. But the starting pitching might not necessarily favor Detroit here. Maybe I just like Mlb Wnba too much still, and I know he has not been good recently. His ERA is up to 4.9, 1.37 whip. His splits are almost equal, so home road doesn't really matter. He's been awful this month. There's no doubt about it. 8.51 ERA in 4 starts. Twins have lost 6 starts in a row that he's made, but their offense hasn't helped him out either. 19-7 strikeout walk ratio this month, but 6 walks came in 1 really bad outing against Texas. So his last 2 starts, he actually has a 12-0 strikeout walk ratio. So I'm not really ready to say he's necessarily in bad form. It's just the home run ball has been a massive problem for him. He's allowed 10 home runs this month in 4 starts, which is really absurd. I mean, that's just insane. That's the reason why he gave up 7 runs last time out against Seattle, but he only gave up 7 hits, went 7 innings, struck out 7, and didn't walk anybody. You almost never see a line like that. Like, that almost always is going to correspond to allowing, like, maybe 3-4 runs, but because of all the home runs, bunch of runs scored. So I do think Wnba gave up the hard hits at inopportune times in that game, but he is not pitching well right now. So all that is to be taken into account. It looks like he does have good command right now, but he's given up really hard contact, so it's hard to gauge what he's going to do here. His numbers against Detroit lifetime are actually really good. In 103 at-bats, he has a 36-4 strikeout walk ratio against them, 175 average allowed, and 555 OPS. So good numbers for Wnba against Detroit's bats there. So that might be something to take into account. He might actually match up pretty well against them. He's up against Casey Mize, who I keep saying this guy's due for regression, and it did start a little bit. He still has a 2.88 ERA this year, which I think that's going to continue to go up. 1.24 whip. He has been better at home, though. 1.84 home ERA. So this home stadium has been really good for Detroit. Detroit has won his last 2 starts, and he actually has been decent this month with a 3 ERA, 19-6 strikeout walk ratio. Not terrible. He continues to be pretty serviceable, really. Not a whole lot of regression here. Had a couple of kind of ugly starts in there, kind of righted the ship, and he's still only allowed more than 3 earned runs in 2 starts this season, and never more than 4. So he's been consistent. Against Minnesota, he does have decent numbers as well in 58 at-bats, 259 average allowed, 651 OPS, 9-4 strikeout walk ratio is not that great. So it's probably not the worst matchup for Mize, but it does look like the money is coming in on the Minnesota side. So the market read is on Minnesota. Detroit down from minus 145 to minus 138. It almost looks too easy to play Detroit, right? Because they have a way better record than Minnesota, but Wnba might have the better of the pitching matchup here. And I just think in general, I would say Ober's the better of the 2 pitchers, despite what their numbers look like. 89% of tickets, only 87% of the cash on Detroit. So they are obviously a very public team with less of the money coming in on them. I just don't think it's enough to actually get there with the play on Minnesota, given everything that I just said. I also might look for an under, maybe even in the first 5 innings. Total's gone up a little bit from 8.5 to 9. 60% of tickets on the under, 53% of the cash on the over. So the money looks like it's a little bit on the over and over, but both starting pitchers look like they do have a decent matchup here. So I am kind of leaning more towards an under early in the game. And then I would worry about Minnesota's bullpen not being in good form recently. Detroit's bullpen, maybe a little bit less of a concern than Minnesota's later in the game, but maybe a little bit more of a concern later in the game with at least one of the bullpens. So I think first 5 inning under might make sense in that one. I would slightly lean Minnesota just because of the market read, but I don't love it. Mets at Pittsburgh. That was a game that I got right yesterday with my lean. I told you I had 3 ugly underdog leans, and 2 of them didn't even hit. This one certainly did with Pittsburgh against the Mets. David Peterson was awful in the game. Mets didn't use much of their bullpen, though, so we do have a somewhat rested Mets bullpen now after yesterday, but I don't know if that's going to help, even though Pittsburgh's bullpen is definitely awful. Mets have a better bullpen, so they do have that advantage. Mets have the better offense, but the Mets might have to go to their bullpen early again here, man, because Paul Blackburn is not a guy that inspires much confidence here. He has not been good so far. 6.62 ERA, 1.75 whip. He's been better on the road, 4.26 ERA, but I don't know if there's a whole lot that we can really gain from looking at that. It's a small sample size. Overall in the whole season, he's only pitched in the month of June, has a 13-7 strikeout walk ratio. That's not good either. He went 5 innings once in his first start against the Dodgers, and then every start beyond that was bad. And they've lost his last 3 starts, so nothing really inspiring a whole lot of confidence here. Against Pittsburgh, they haven't really seen him, so that's at least somewhat of a good sign for Blackburn. They only have 9 at-bats against him. 2 hitters have seen him before. They only have a 222 average and 556 OPS. So Blackburn is pretty unfamiliar to Pittsburgh's hitters, so at least he has that advantage where a lot of times when a lineup has not seen a pitcher, they have to kind of figure him out. But Blackburn's not like this young guy where there's not a lot of tape on him. So Pittsburgh at least can kind of like consult some like Major League Baseball film and whatever and figure out, oh, this guy's throwing this. But of course, that does differ from an in-game environment. But then again, Blackburn's not really that difficult to figure out. Like he's kind of just a journeyman junk pitcher, so he still might not do that well here. He's up against Bailey Falter, who has actually been pretty good for Pittsburgh. I know Paul Skeens gets all the accolades, and Skeens is excellent, but Falter kind of flying under the radar here has been pretty good this year. 3.59 ERA, a 1.18 whip, 3.18 ERA at home, so he's been good at home. This month, he hasn't been that good, though, with a 5.12 ERA in 4 starts, a 10.9 strikeout walk ratio, though most of it was because he walked 5 guys and only struck out 1 in his last outing. He's not really a strikeout guy, though, so you have to take that into account. He just doesn't record a lot of strikeouts, but he doesn't put a ton of guys on base, doesn't give up a lot of hits, so that's kind of that's how he operates, man. So he's been able to do it. This year, he's only allowed more than 3 earned runs, I think, in 3 starts all season. Hasn't allowed more than 4 in any start this month. Last 3 starts, he's gone 5 innings in each. His team has actually won a bunch of his starts recently. They've actually won 7 of his last 9 starts. So Pittsburgh has actually been winning behind him. And up against the Mets, his numbers, they're mediocre. I mean, considering the Mets are a good offense, this isn't that bad. And 81 at-bats. 15-9 strikeout walk ratio is not that great, but Lindor has 5 of the walks, so looks like he's been pitching around him a little bit. 272 average, 736 OPS, not horrific numbers. I mean, pretty much in that mediocre range, or it could go either way. Nimmo, if you want player props, hits plus runs plus RBIs is always what I recommend, because with total bases, you get nothing for a walk. So I like hits plus runs plus RBIs better. Nimmo is 6 for 14 with a home run and a walk off of him. Overall, I prefer Falter over Blackburn, so I think the way that I would look at this is probably Pittsburgh first 5 innings would probably be the lean here. Mets are down from minus 150 to minus 137, 67% of tickets, 69% of the cash. But what I think we see here is the Mets are a public team again. They're probably favored by too much on the road. I mean, should Paul Blackburn be this much of a favorite against anybody? I don't know. I mean, obviously the Mets have the better bullpen, better offense. Mets were on a huge skid, though, and they're still not playing well. I mean, they lost yesterday. I do prefer Falter over Blackburn. I think he might have the upper hand in the matchup, so probably would look to Pittsburgh money line in the first 5 innings and not worry about Pittsburgh's bullpen because, of course, they're not very good. Speaking of bullpens that might not be very good, even though Tampa's is actually pretty good, Baltimore's isn't, but both bullpens got really, really rocked in this game yesterday, giving up 30 runs. Baltimore actually was losing 6-0 in the second inning, and they wound up winning the game 22-8. You'll never see anything like that again. I don't want to think about it. I thought that the starting pitchers would do well in that game. It was not even close. This game is going to be the battle of the Zacks, which I think actually has happened this year already, although maybe I'm wrong about that, but I do think these pitchers matched up, I think, recently, but I'll look in a minute. Zach Littell pitching for Tampa. His numbers are good this year. 3.78 ERA, 1.1 whip, although I really don't think he's as good as his numbers would suggest. He's a little bit worse on the road, 4.18 ERA on the road. But he's been good this month. He has an 18-0 strikeout walk ratio. He hasn't walked anybody in 4 starts this month, although Tampa lost his last 3 outings. One of them was against Baltimore, where they lost 5-1. But he pitched pretty well in that game. 3.52 ERA this month, so he actually is pitching well this month, going 6 innings in 3 out of the 4 starts as well. Tampa had won a bunch of starts in a row behind him prior to the last 3 as well, but he has not stopped pitching well. It's just he stopped getting run support in a lot of cases here. So Littell is actually in pretty good form right now. Against Baltimore, he does not have good numbers, though. In 104 at-bats, they're very familiar with him. He has a good strikeout walk ratio, again, 20-3, but he gives up hard contact, man. He's allowed 6 home runs to them, a 288 average, 828 OPS, and Gunnar Henderson specifically really does well against him. 7 for 18 with 2 home runs, 2 walks. So again, player prop potential on that one. So I'm not sure that I expect Littell to do particularly well here, especially because Baltimore just saw him. So he may struggle in this game a little bit. Zach Eflin pitching for Baltimore, not having a good run here recently. He started out pretty well. He had a late start to the season, coming back from injury, and was pitching well for a little bit, but recently not been pitching that well. And he kind of gives me, like, he puts up similar numbers to Littell in a way, even though you wouldn't see it here with his ERA at 5.46, whip at 1.38. That's obviously not good. He's been better at home with a 4.32 ERA. He did pitch against Tampa. It was in a different game, though, so the Zacks did not match up against each other. He got demolished by Tampa at Tampa, although, of course, Steinbrenner Field, not an easy place to pitch, but he gave up 7 runs in 5 innings. 2.2 strikeout walk ratio, not good. This month, 7.4 ERA. 18-5 strikeout walk ratio is not that bad, but he's allowed 6 home runs, 35 hits in 20 2/3 innings. And over the last 2 starts, he allowed 22 hits in 8 innings, 13 earned runs, and 5 home runs over that span. Had a 6-4 strikeout walk ratio. But again, one of the starts is at Steinbrenner Field, which is a tough place to pitch. And then he had to pitch against the Yankees in the Bronx. But still, he did get wrecked in those 2 starts, even though those are not easy places to pitch. And against Tampa in general, he has not been good. In 66 at-bats, he's given up 5 home runs to 5 different hitters. 364 average, 1,067 OPS, even though the 13-4 strikeout walk ratio is not that bad. So I'm thinking the Zacks don't have good matchup numbers here, man. So even though Littell is in good form right now, both Zacks might struggle in this game. And you don't want anything to do with these bullpens here unless you're going to be like betting on the bullpens to do really bad in this game. Because you got Tampa, their bullpen is completely worn out right now after yesterday. And Baltimore's bullpen stinks. So I actually think an over is probably the way to look in this game. Although we see money disagreeing with me and coming in on the under with 64% of tickets on the over, 93% of the cash on the under. And total, however, has gone up a little bit from 9.5 to 9.5 juice to the over. And when you see a total that high, usually you kind of want to take notice. And the odds makers are kind of telling you would think this is going to be a higher scoring game. I do tend to agree with that, even though yesterday's game was so high scoring. A lot of people are probably going to want to take the over again here, just seeing that. But sometimes, I mean, a game like that can kind of have a domino effect into the next game, right? Because it really affects the bullpens. So I don't hate the over in this game. Baltimore is taking money as well, up from -110 to -113. Tampa has been the public side so far. And even after getting wrecked yesterday, Tampa's still the public side. Public doesn't want this Baltimore team that has a bad record, and they're expecting them to bounce back here, even though Eflin has a worse ERA than Littell. 79% of tickets, only 56% of the cash on Tampa. So when you see a public road underdog like this, you usually want to be on the home favorite. So Baltimore is also a lean here, but I don't know if we could trust Baltimore's bullpen, although at least the fact that Tampa used so much of their bullpen yesterday, it kind of negates how bad Baltimore's bullpen is. So we'll see what happens in that game. Yeah, 22-8, crazy result in that game yesterday. And it made me look as wrong as possible, so that really feels good. Seattle, Texas, the other game I got wrong yesterday, which was not as embarrassing, but Eovaldi did not, they didn't let him go deep into the game. They didn't let him go as deep as I thought they would. So we're looking at a situation where Seattle and Texas both have good bullpens, but they used a lot of relief pitchers yesterday because they had to go 12 innings yesterday. So I don't know if we really want to deal with some kind of taxed bullpens coming into this game. We do have Brian Wu starting for Seattle, and he is obviously a really good pitcher. 3.12 ERA, 0.95 whip. He's a bit worse on the road, though, away from Seattle, which is a very pitcher-friendly park. On the road, 3.83 ERA, which is still good, but not as good. He's been good this month. I mean, he's usually... You're not going to find a bad month from Wu, like, for the most part. 3.96 ERA is actually bad by his standards. He's had 2 road starts this month, one at Arizona, which is a very difficult park to pitch in against a good offense, so he didn't do well in that start, but he turned it around, really did well against the Red Sox, my Red Sox, who are just terrible, and they've won his last 2 starts. Went 7 innings, 6 innings long, 2 earned runs combined over the 2, only 7 hits combined after he 1 hit shut out the Red Sox for 7 innings. Does have a 24-6 strikeout walk ratio this month. So he is pitching well. He's in good form right now. But surprisingly, Texas, even though their offense has not been very good, they actually have some good numbers against Wu. 75 career at bats, so they're pretty familiar with him. 21-5 strikeout walk ratio is good. I mean, that's very Wu-like, but he's allowed a 307 average to them, an 817 OPS. Seager specifically really good against him, 5 for 7 with a home run and a couple walks. No strikeouts. And Semien, 5 for 13 with a home run. So a couple of these Texas hitters do hit him well. So Wu doesn't have the advantage of the home road splits here and doesn't have a great matchup necessarily. So I would tread with caution with Wu in this game, even though I know Texas's offense has not been good this season. He's up against Kumar Rocker, who's been pretty tough to figure out. I mean, he's a young guy, still trying to figure himself out. 6.68 ERA, 1.66 whip. Those are obviously bad numbers, but he's been way better at home with a 2.12 ERA at home. So he has been better at home. This month, his last 2 starts, at least, he started to turn it around a little bit. Although he still walks too many guys, so he has a 10-4 strikeout walk ratio over the last 2 starts. His team won both starts. He went at least 5 innings in both, allowed 0 and 2 earned runs. The problem is they were against the White Sox in Pittsburgh, and those are pretty bad offenses. Last time out against Seattle, he pitched at Seattle, which is a pitcher-friendly park, and he didn't do well. He only lasted 3 1/3. He gave up 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned runs, 2 strikeouts. It was not a good outing for him. Rocker, in his career, he's been mediocre against Seattle, which is mostly that one start this year. 20 at-bats, 250 average isn't that bad, but 825 OPS, 8-3 strikeout walk ratio. So very mediocre numbers for Rocker. So what do we do with this game? I mean, I started looking at the market read to see what is that telling me. Where's the professional money coming? The professional money is actually coming in on Texas. So the pros are actually banking on Rocker, which... I mean, I'm not that crazy, so I would not really recommend that, but I wouldn't disagree with a strong market read like this when I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other. Seattle's down from -140 to -119. I think maybe some of the thought is that, well, Wu doesn't have good numbers against Texas. He's not as good on the road, so maybe the starting pitching might be a little bit of a wash here in this matchup. So I think that may be the thought, that just Seattle should not be this much of a favorite on the road, because a lot of it is that Wu is putting up really good numbers and Rocker isn't. He's not John Rocker, by the way. John Rocker, always going to be the best Rocker. Wu, I mean, Seattle down from -140 to -119, 61% of tickets on them, 84% of the cash, though, coming in on Texas. So a strong market read on the Texas side. That's the way to read the market. I mean, the total, we see conflicting numbers with cash coming in on the over, but the total's dropped a little bit to 8 juice to the under. Wouldn't really want to touch that. Just keeping in mind, I mean, you have good bullpens, but they're not rested right now. I mean, market read, strong lean on Texas there as far as the market read is concerned, but I will not give it out as a play at all. San Diego at Cincinnati. Cincinnati won yesterday 8-1. Nice win for Cincinnati yesterday. They're playing pretty well right now. This was a game that I could not figure out at all either, because Nick Martinez had only gone 2 innings in his last couple outings, and they didn't even have him on a starter's schedule. And then all of a sudden he throws 112 pitches and goes 8 innings, allowing 1 hit yesterday, and dominates. I mean, it is so hard to figure out what's going to happen with some of these pitchers, man. It's like you look at his recent usage and it looks like he's almost out of the starting rotation, and then all of a sudden he just dominates. It's so hard to figure that out. I mean, I didn't give out a play on this game, but that's just crazy. And Dylan Cease continued to kind of struggle on the road, even though he continues to strike a lot of guys out, but he didn't do that well. San Diego didn't have to use a ton of their bullpen yesterday, so San Diego does have the better bullpen, and they're not in as bad shape after yesterday. They did use a couple relief pitchers, but were able to rest them a little bit. They got Randy Vasquez pitching, and I still don't trust Vasquez, even though he has a 3.6 ERA, which is pretty good. 1.33 whip. I mean, this guy, he still puts way too many guys on base. He's been worse on the road as well, 4.14 ERA. So obviously pitching in San Diego, it's a pitcher-friendly park, and now he's pitching at a very hitter-friendly park in Cincinnati. So that's going to be difficult for him. Coming off a good start, but it was against Kansas City. He went 7 innings, and he still only had a 2.2 strikeout walk ratio. One thing about Vasquez is his strikeout walk ratio is always pretty much terrible. And this month in 5 starts, 13-10 strikeout walk ratio. Doesn't really look that great, and he failed to go 5 innings in the first 3 starts this month. Has a 3.65 ERA this month, which looks good. He only allowed more than 3 earned runs once. And actually, that goes all the way back to late April. He's only done it more than once. But I still don't like the fact that he doesn't strike guys out, and he also walks too many guys. So I don't like Vasquez. Up against Cincinnati, though, they've actually never faced him before, which is kind of surprising. Vasquez, I think, has been in the NL for a little while now, but the Reds have never seen him before. So maybe Vasquez has a little bit of an edge there, just in that the unfamiliarity factor. The Reds might have to try to figure him out. But Andrew Abbott is obviously the better of the two starters here. And it's being factored into the line too, but Abbott has been really good this year. 1.79 ERA, 0.97 whip. He's been really good, and he hasn't been that much worse at home, even though it's a hitter-friendly ballpark. 2.17 ERA at home, not that bad. I mean, pretty good. His team has won 6 of his last 7 starts, and the last 3 in a row. He's been pitching well, and he's regularly pretty much reaching 100 pitches now. He's been doing it all month. 19-2 strikeout walk ratio. Not a very high strikeout rate, but a very low walk rate. Not allowing a lot of hits. 2.28 ERA this month. Abbott definitely pitching really, really well here. Up against San Diego, has really good numbers as well. In 36 at-bats, he's allowed 4 hits, no extra base hits, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk, a 111 average, and 246 OPS. Abbott has dominated San Diego's hitters, so I think we got to be looking maybe at the Abbott side here, although the public is on Cincinnati, and it looks like the professional money is fading Cincinnati here. I don't really agree with that. There's no way that I really trust Vazquez, even though, of course, he does have the unknown factor here. But Abbott, I mean, his numbers against San Diego are dominant, so you have to take notice of that. And he's been really good this year. Cincinnati down from -155 to -147, 71% of tickets, only 62% of the cash. So that market read does give me pause, so I'm not going to actually recommend a play on Cincinnati. And if I did, because I don't like their bullpen, I would probably limit it to a first 5 inning play on Cincinnati, but you would have to lay like a money line price there. So maybe you would go like -0.5 run on the run line, first 5 innings for Cincinnati. Maybe that makes sense. The money's coming in on the under, though. 58% of tickets, 95% of the cash on the under. Total dropped a little bit from 9.5 to 9.5 with juice on the under. It is a hitter-friendly park. The under, I could see the arguments for it, just in that Vazquez, again, is unfamiliar to Cincinnati, and Abbott has just been really good. So that's kind of the argument for the under there. But I just don't trust Vazquez, man. It's just the way that I handicap these pitchers, I get stubborn, though, and I kind of just ingrain something in my mind. And I think I'm right, but then you do have to take into account the specific matchup, too. So, yeah, Abbott is definitely the better pitcher, but it looks like the market read is against it, so I'm going to stay away. John Rocker, favorite of all time. Yeah, dude, he's hilarious. I love it. Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know what else to say about that, but yeah, I mean, I think he's awesome, and he follows me on Twitter, which is pretty amazing as well, even though I'm sure that I would not agree with him on Israel, but he is really good on everything else. He's, on that, he's sort of in that sort of mainstream conservative line there for the most part. Andrew, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. All right, next up, I'm going to give you guys an actual play that I have here. Get Rocker on the show. I believe there may have been a possibility that we were going to be able to get him on Tower Gang, and Tower Gang is now not happening. So isn't that just awesome? Man, that would be insane if that happened. Going to give out a play here. I'm going to try to get this done because I do have to get out of here at some point. I'm going to give out a play on the Cleveland Indians on money line, -118. This is not going to be one that the public is really going to love here, but I think the starting pitching matchup makes sense. I think it makes sense here. If we look at the market read on this, the cash, even though the money lines dropped from -125 to -115 on Cleveland, they do have 68% of the cash, with 60% of tickets coming in on St. Louis. And again, I keep saying that I think St. Louis is not really as good as their record would tell you, as their run differential is not really as good as their record says. And with this starting pitching matchup, I actually think that Cleveland might actually be the right side here, even though I know Cleveland has not been hitting well. Cleveland's not a very good team this year, but again, this matchup, I think, might actually get them this win here. Cleveland has lost 2 games in a row in shutout form, so I think they're going to be pissed off as well. So I think that that's going to help Cleveland here maybe refocus a little bit and spark some fire under Cleveland here to get back and start scoring some runs again here. Yesterday, of course, they got absolutely dominated by Sonny Gray, who I was a little bit worried about him because he's not that good on the road, but I believe he did have good numbers against Cleveland, and he pitched really well. A 9-inning complete game, 1 hit, 11 strikeout performance. Sonny Gray, I mean, I like the guy. He continues to pitch really well for the most part, so he is a guy that I like to bet on in a lot of situations. Yesterday was not one of those situations, but certainly just my kind of quick read is that, oh yeah, well, Gray is way better than Luis Ortiz. So that was kind of just the limited handicap that I gave out there, and it wound up being correct in that game. Ortiz not very good, but Cleveland kind of saved their bullpen yesterday. So that's kind of what I like about this. So I actually think the St. Louis bullpen is basically kind of on par with Cleveland's bullpen. Like, neither bullpen is that good. So I think we can still include the bullpens here. Both bullpens did rest yesterday for the most part. And then we look at the starting pitching. Miles Mikolas is pitching for the Cardinals. He's not great. He's kind of a junk pitcher. I mean, he's been around for a long time. 4.31 ERA and 1.28 whip. Mediocre numbers. He's been better on the road. Yes, 3.83 ERA on the road. So that might help him out here. Actually, has been good this month with a 17-3 strikeout walk ratio. So that looks good. He's been in command, but he's given up 27 hits in 22 innings this month. And his team has lost 3 straight starts behind him, so that's not great. Really, his only bad start was against Toronto, where he gave up 6 runs. But even so, still not really in good form right now, I wouldn't say, even though the 13-2 strikeout walk ratio in the last 2 outings does say he was in okay form in those 2 outings. He got no run support in those outings. They lost. He was okay. One was against Milwaukee, so I know they're a good offense. Cincinnati, decent offense, but still, I'm not totally convinced here, even though I know he's stepping down in class to face Cleveland. He has not been good against Cleveland in his career. 47 at-bats. This might help Cleveland break out of their slump here, man. The slump may discontinue because Cleveland has a .319 batting average against him and .823 OPS, so I don't really trust Mikolas here. Lane Thomas, 5 for 13 off him. The best numbers out of all these guys. Well, actually, Hedges, 4 for 6 as well. So a couple of guys do damage against him. And he's up against Slade Cecconi, which is the other part of this handicap here, as a 3.38 ERA, although a somewhat high 1.29 whip, which I don't love. I know he's been worse at home, so I'm going against the home road splits here. 5.79 ERA at home, but if you look at what he's done, I think it was really all one bad start against, Anaheim, where he gave up 5 runs, 3 home runs, just had a really bad start against Anaheim. He said 5 road starts, so really one bad home start is skewing his split, so I'm not really going to take that into account that much. This month in 4 starts, he has a 2.05 ERA, 20-7 strikeout walk ratio, and his team has actually won his last 2 outings. And I actually gave Cleveland out as a lean against San Francisco in that game 2 starts ago for him because I think San Francisco was in a bad spot there. But Cecconi's been good, and he's coming off a really impressive outing against the A's because I was at that A's stadium, which is very home run conducive, and he didn't even allow any runs at all. Went 7 innings in that game. I mean, not putting up a huge strikeout number in that one, but that's still a pretty impressive outing. So I like Cecconi. And then the clincher for me is that St. Louis has never seen him before. So a young pitcher like him with pretty good stuff against an offense that's never seen him before, I'll roll with Cecconi in this game against the old veteran that everybody's kind of seen before and just kind of tries to locate his pitches. So I'm going to go with the guy that has the higher ceiling with Cecconi here. Cleveland is going to be one of the plays here today. Toronto at Boston. I mean, the Red Sox, they just can't do anything, man. And the Red Sox, on the return home spot, they never do well, and they got absolutely blasted last night. I did give out Toronto as a lean on the show yesterday. Didn't give it out as a play, but it would have been an easy win. Toronto didn't even have to use much of their bullpen, so Toronto has the more rested bullpen and the better bullpen coming into this game, so already a little bit of an advantage for Toronto coming into this. Chris Bassett pitching for Toronto. He's pitching fairly well, 3.61 ERA, 1.26 whip. What else we got? Sorry, I was clicking around. I thought I left the banner up here. Bassett has been a little bit worse on the road, though, 4.91 ERA on the road. This month, well, his team had won 4 starts in a row of his. They'd actually won 8 out of 9 starts of his, and then he lost a start against the White Sox where he went 6 innings and only allowed 1 run, so that wasn't his fault at all. So he is still pitching well. 4 starts this month, 3.12 ERA, 21-6 strikeout walk ratio. The only issue is, actually, no, there isn't an issue. I was going to say, I thought he was bad against the Red Sox, but he isn't. He's actually good against the Red Sox, too. In 85 at-bats, 26-6 strikeout walk ratio, 200 average allowed, 500 OPS, so Bassett actually does well against the Red Sox as well. Red Sox don't even really have a single hitter that does any damage against him, really. And he's up against Lucas Giolito, who's been not very good for the Red Sox. 4.53 ERA and 1.37 whip. At Fenway, he's been miserable with a 7.66 home ERA. Just abysmal at home. Red Sox did win 4 starts in a row of his, so they were actually doing well behind him. And then his last start, he did lose on the road at San Francisco. Yes, his home numbers are skewed because he had one really bad start against Anaheim. Actually, he had one bad start against actually, never mind. Texas and Atlanta were both bad starts, too. So, actually, he's had 3 really bad starts at home and 2 good starts. So, it's like, what are you going to get here out of Giolito, then? Well, his worst starts have all come at home. Against Toronto, his numbers are pretty mediocre. 97 at-bats. They're pretty familiar with him. 258 average isn't that bad, but 830 OPS is pretty bad. Although Kirk does a lot of the damage. 5 for 14 with 4 home runs. And Bichette is 7 for 17 with a home run off him. So a couple of guys do the majority of the damage there. If you want some player props, again, hits plus runs plus RBIs there. But I would have to lean to Toronto again in this game, man. I mean, the better bullpen, more rested bullpen, probably even the better offense at this point is. I liked the trade to get Devers out of there, man, to help the team chemistry. But you knew that the Red Sox would take a hit offensively for a little while. And hopefully the Red Sox start turning it around, man. I mean, the password might be coming up soon. Red Sox trying to start this new age of the Red Sox with all these young guys here. They're going to get Yoshida back pretty soon, it looks like, which is going to be a big component as well. So hopefully the Red Sox can start doing a little bit better offensively again here. But actually the Red Sox and San Francisco, neither team had won a game since the trade, I think, except against each other until yesterday when San Francisco finally won a game. So that's kind of crazy. Red Sox getting swept by Anaheim and San Francisco getting swept by Miami, which is ridiculous. Anyway, the market read is totally against me on this one. I lean to Toronto, but the market read is absolutely against it, but I just don't see why. I mean, I think Toronto does have the better offense right now. That's in the better form. Better bullpen, more rested bullpen, and the better starter, and the better matchup. So there's almost no reason that I can see to like the Red Sox here, but the market read is what's keeping me off of actually giving this out as a play. Toronto up for minus 113 to minus 117. 57% of tickets on Toronto, 71% of the cash coming in on the Red Sox. So the money coming in on the Red Sox there. And I will say, actually, the one other reason why the Red Sox might be taking the money here is the situation does favor the Red Sox. And what I mean by that is when a team returns home from a road trip, they tend to be in a distracted spot, right? Especially with the Red Sox returning home from the Pacific Coast. Long road trip. They have to get back to family life. It's a distraction. They have stuff to do. But then if you get distracted in that game, you get blown out in that game, especially with the Red Sox, they got shut out and blown out. It's a better spot in the next game, and a lot of times the team will refocus and have a much better effort in the next spot. So that is one reason to not actually bet Toronto here, but I would still lean to Toronto, to be honest, because I think everything about the matchup kind of indicates that way. Colorado at Milwaukee. This game, I mean, to me, it looked like the money was actually coming in on the under in this game, and I would not agree with that. The total dropped a little from 9 to 9, juice the under. 71% of tickets, 99% of the cash on the over, though, according to these percentages. But that 99% usually is not an accurate number here on pregame. So, I mean, this is a free tool, so you have to kind of read into the numbers a little bit more because they might not be totally accurate. But looking at the starting pitching matchup, I mean, it looks like a mess. Both teams, I think, used a lot of their bullpen yesterday, and Colorado's bullpen isn't even good. Milwaukee's bullpen's not good either. 10-6 game yesterday, but again, because that type of thing kind of cascades, I'm not really sure that the over doesn't make sense again here with 2 bad bullpens. Senzatella's pitching for Colorado. He's not good. 6.48 ERA and 1.9 whip, just awful numbers. A little bit better away from Coors Field, though. 5.79 ERA, so obviously he's on the road here. Colorado somehow has won his last 3 starts, so he actually pitched a little bit better in the last 2 starts, but still overall not pitching well with a 9-11 strikeout walk ratio this month and a 4.42 ERA, so still not good, although that's a little bit better by his standards, I guess. Against Milwaukee, his numbers aren't good either in 42 at-bats, 333 average, 1,006 OPS and a very high 14 RBIs. 4 different guys have hit home runs off him. So I don't expect him to do very well. And he's up against Quinn Priester, who has been better than expected. I mean, he is still young. 3.68 ERA, but a 1.31 whip kind of indicates that there's something wrong. He's putting too many guys on base. His home road splits are almost equal, so nothing to see there. Milwaukee has actually won his last 5 starts in a row. So Milwaukee has actually been winning behind him, and he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of those starts, which was the most recent outing. But he gave up 9 hits in that outing to Minnesota, who's not a good hitting team, and only lasted 3 1/3. So he might be starting to regress a little bit. He had 3 pretty good starts in a row, and then that one was just bad, and that was his most recent start. Although overall this month, 4 starts, 2.66 ERA, 18-3 strikeout walk ratio, obviously not that bad. Against Colorado, though, he's actually been really bad, even though their offense isn't good. 17 at bats, small sample size, but he's allowed a 5.29 average to them and 1,461 OPS. That's not good. Moniak, 3 for 5 with a couple of doubles there. So I would lean to the over in this game. That's really the only way that I could look at this game in any serious fashion. I mean, you're never going to get value fading Colorado because they're so bad. You're having to pay up to minus 250 now in Milwaukee, up from minus 215. I would not do that. Although if you wanted to play Milwaukee over their team total, maybe to just get to Colorado's pitching, I mean, you could look that way as well. You're probably asking them to score at least 6 runs. So we'll see how that goes. Dodgers at Kansas City, I don't even want to talk about because Kansas City, again, out-hit them 11-4 yesterday and still lost the game 5-4. And the guy who did damage to us yesterday, Ohtani, who had a home run and a triple in the game, well, he's going to be starting today for the Dodgers. I don't know what they're doing with him right now. I mean, he's been an opener the last couple of outings. He's trying to get back into pitching form. So his last 2 outings, he's made 1 inning appearances in each of his last 2 outings. He gave up a run in the first one, had a clean inning in his next start. So Ohtani, I would guess, is probably going to go 1 inning again here and be the opener. And the Dodgers did use some of their bullpen yesterday. So Kansas City actually has the bullpen that's in better shape here. And we're looking at a bullpen game for the Dodgers here. So I'm not sure that the Dodgers make sense in this game, man. It might be another spot where I would lean against the Dodgers here because, again, people are going to look at this, Ohtani, he's great at everything. He's starting. Well, no, that basically means you're getting a Dodgers bullpen game here. And again, their bullpen is more used than Kansas City's. And Kansas City actually has the better bullpen anyway. It's just that the Dodgers obviously have the way better offense. Kansas City has Seth Lugo pitching, and he's continuing to do well. Even though I know a lot of analytics guys that look at Baseball Savant and the advanced analytics are like, this guy sucks. He's going to regress. I'm like, 2.93 ERA, 1.05 whip, dude. He's continuing to not do bad over the course of like almost 2 entire seasons now. So, I mean, maybe he'll regress a little bit, but I don't know if it's going to be that sharp. This month, 4 starts. His team has lost 3 of those starts because they can't hit, but it's not his fault. He has a 23-6 strikeout walk ratio, 1.57 ERA this month, so he's been good. He's been good at home as well with a 2.72 home ERA. Against the Dodgers, he has pretty decent numbers as well, even though they're a really good offense. 71 at bats, 8-6 strikeout walk ratio is not that good, but he's held him to a 254 average, 692 OPS. That's pretty impressive. So I probably prefer Lugo plus Kansas City's bullpen coming into this than over Ohtani going 1 inning plus whatever the Dodgers bullpen is going to do. And the money is agreeing with me on this one. I would fade the Dodgers again and watch the game that I give it out as a play yesterday. I'm basically right and it still loses. Watch, today is going to be a situation where I don't give it out as a play. I'll give it out as a lean, and it'll actually be a winner this time. That's going to happen. Kansas City will finally break the loss streak, which should have happened yesterday. 82% of tickets on the Dodgers. Dodgers always going to be public. Only 70% of the cash. And I think the professional bettors know, man, that with a Dodger bullpen game like this, you're laying way too much of a price with them on the road here against what's still a pretty capable Kansas City team. At least Kansas City is still a very good pitching team. Dodgers down from minus 165 to minus 154. So reverse line movement against the public as well. So again, the only way that I would look is Kansas City, either on the run line or the money line. San Francisco at the White Sox. I mentioned I liked the White Sox yesterday because they had rest. San Francisco was traveling in, but it was still a loss for the White Sox. I gave the White Sox out as a lean yesterday, and they still lost. And by the way, you've seen my Twitter. I mean, I'm taking the approach that's going to get me in trouble, although I agree with Clay Travis, who's a big sports commentator here. I am not buying into the official narrative of this Marte thing here, man. I think that Marte did not behave like a man here, man. I mean, yes, it's awful that his mother died, but the narrative is completely a lie, basically. So what actually happened is the White Sox fan yelled out something to the effect of, like, I texted your mom last night or something like that. It was like a your mom joke that like a high schooler would make. He probably didn't even realize Marte's mother is dead, which, by the way, is not even a recent thing. I mean, I know it's awful, but his mother died 8 years ago, and Marte still reacted like that and was crying on the field and had to be consoled by his teammates. I mean, dude, this is a professional sport, man. You're a professional athlete, and you're going to act that way? Like, we've seen... Like Jarren Duran, you had people yelling at him from the stands after the Red Sox documentary came out where he was talking about attempting suicide and whatever. You have fans yelling at him like you should have gone through with it and whatever, which is absolutely ridiculous. And Duran didn't cry about it. He spoke out about it and, said this was awful. He got really angry, which is, definitely a more manly response. Props to Duran. I love Duran, man. I got my Red Sox Duran jersey. I hope they keep him. He should be the leader of this team right now, man. I love that guy. And then you had Lance McCullers getting death threats from his own fans, which, by the way, McCullers is actually pitching today, so I'm going to mention him in a second. But I'll talk about this now. He had one bad start coming off of a long layoff from like really serious arm surgery. Had a bad start, and his own fans, even though he's a guy who's like won at least one World Series with them, they're like threatening death upon him and his family, which is absolutely ridiculous. He didn't behave like Marte did either. I mean, he spoke out about it. Yeah, like, this is awful, whatever. I mean, what this fan did is way less egregious than what those other fans did. This fan didn't even know. He just made a your mom joke, and he gets banned for life from all 32 Major League stadiums or however many stadiums there are, that's already overkill. And then you have this like leftist, ugly woman who looks like a man out there. If you saw my back and forth on Twitter yesterday, doxing the guy, putting out his information, being like, let's ruin this guy's life. Really? Okay. Over your mom joke, because a guy who should be a grown man can't take a joke like that 8 years after the fact. I mean, give me a break, dude. It's much more serious to be yelling, at Jarren Duran, telling him that he should have, committed suicide, or yelling at Lance McCullers saying that he and his family should die. I mean, that's way more egregious, and those fans got less of a penalty. I think those fans got kicked out of that one game, and I'm fine with that. I mean, that should have been the most that this guy suffered. He maybe kicked out of this one game. Probably I wouldn't even go that far, to be honest. By the way, the fan's name, by the way, I think happens to be Chad as well, and he is a Chad. And Kettle Marte is not a Chad. So, yeah. Yeah, correct, Charles. Yeah, it was 8 years ago, yeah. Yeah, most likely a single mom. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, 8 years. I mean, obviously, yeah. Like, you can obviously feel for the guy. I mean, he doesn't have his mother, but yeah. It was a long time ago, and this is a joke that high schoolers would make, dude. Like, didn't you go through stuff like this in high school? I went to public high school. Everything was like, your mom this, your mom that, whatever. Like, there was no let up there, and you're busting balls there. And I know this guy wasn't a friend of his. He's some unknown guy, but like, I mean, you get bullied in high school and stuff too. You got to learn to just like figure out how to take it, man. You don't cry like with your friends. You just stand up to it. Just, sling something right back at the guy. You know what I mean? Defend yourself, or just be like stoic about it and just be like whatever and just walk it off. Major League Baseball players hear so much worse all the time. Like, I'm sure I've heard worse at like games that I've been to, because I've been to so many games. So much crap gets yelled out by whatever fans. I mean, come on, man. This is a professional sport here. So anyway, that's my diatribe there. I got to get out of here soon, so I got to finish this video. Anyway, White Sox against San Francisco. White Sox lost yesterday, of course. We know the White Sox bullpen is a lot worse than San Francisco's, but San Francisco, again, had to use a lot of their best relievers yesterday. So San Francisco's bullpen is not in good rest shape here, even though they are the better bullpen. We have an interesting starting pitching matchup with Robbie Ray pitching for San Francisco. He's having a good season, which I did not expect. I don't know if anybody did. 2.83 ERA, 1.16 whip. I do expect him to be worse at some point. He's been still fairly good on the road, although a little bit worse. 3.22 road ERA. This month, he has been a little bit worse with a 4.09 ERA, but still at 26-6 strikeout walk ratio. And San Francisco has won 3 of his 4 starts this month behind him. So he's regressing a little bit, but not a lot. And he still has not allowed more than 3 earned runs. He's only allowed 3 earned runs in 1 start all season, which was at Philadelphia, which is a very good offense, of course. And the White Sox are not a good offense. And against them, he has 37 at-bats against them, a 15-4 strikeout walk ratio, 189 average allowed in 620 OPS. So he has done well against the White Sox lineup, which is a weak lineup. He's up against Adrian Hauser, who is going to be interesting to try to figure out here, man. Hauser has good numbers this season so far, pretty much. 2.27 ERA, really good. 1.26 whip is a little bit high. He's been really good at home with a 0.75 ERA, although it is a small sample size. But he's been pitching well. He hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start. This month, he has a 3.42 ERA. Too many walks, 18-9 strikeout walk ratio with 7 walks over the last 2 outings, which isn't that good, although they were both on the road, but against Texas and Toronto, a fairly bad offense and a mediocre offense. But he may do well here because San Francisco's offense is really not that great. Hauser against them career-wise, 20 at-bats, has a 5-1 strikeout walk ratio, 250 average, 636 OPS. So Hauser has done well against San Francisco as well. So I'm leaning under in some capacity in this game. The total's down from 8.5 to 8. 68% of tickets, 98% of cash on the under. I don't really want to deal with a San Francisco bullpen that is very overworked right now, though, and a White Sox bullpen that's just not that good. So I think under in the first 5 innings is probably the right way to look at this game. So that's what I would lean here. It's tempting. It's close to being a play for me. I just think Hauser, Ray, they're both a little bit hard to gauge here because Ray just keeps pitching unexpectedly well, man. Money is also coming in against San Francisco, just like yesterday, I think it was. 86% of tickets, only 62% of the cash, so the public likes San Francisco. But when you have 2 offenses that you expect to maybe not do that great, it starts looking pretty good for the underdog, getting an underdog price like this at home. If you think it's going to be a close game, it means there's a better shot that they're going to win the game. There's been reverse live movement. San Francisco down from -158 to -155. So that's the way to look at that game. Miami at Arizona. Arizona lost yesterday. It was a bad spot for them. They were returning home from a road trip, long road trip. So I mentioned it was a bad spot for them. I just didn't really want to fade Merrill Kelly, and he actually did decently in the game. Arizona's bullpen really, really did not help them out in the game yesterday. Arizona's bullpen was a mess. Arizona, I mean, it is a mess. They wound up losing the game. Both of these bullpens are really bad. So even though I kind of liked the under early in the game yesterday, I was kind of liking maybe more runs to be scored late in the game, which is kind of what happened. Although I think the over hit both in the first 5 and the full game yesterday. So I don't trust either bullpen at all. They're both not good. They both got used yesterday. And then we get the starting pitching matchup with Sandy Alcantara, who, you know, is a former Cy Young candidate who went through multiple surgeries, and now he's trying to come back from that. He's been really struggling, 6.69 ERA, 1.46 whip. On the road, he's been really bad, 9.82 road ERA, and pitching in a hitter-friendly park like this is probably not going to help, but he has actually started turning things around. This month, he actually has been fairly decent. His team has gone 2-2 behind him. He's faced a couple of difficult offenses in Philadelphia and Atlanta recently, and he's not given up more than 3 earned runs in any of these starts. He's got 6 innings in 3 out of the 4. 19-5 strikeout walk ratio, 2.74 ERA in June. So we may be seeing a resurgence of Alcantara here, which is why I kind of indicated yesterday that if Miami's going to be dealing at the trade deadline, they might be looking to trade Alcantara. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, Red Sox should try to get him, man. Just like, I mean, I would actually love that, even though it's not a pitcher-friendly environment in Fenway. I mean, if Alcantara is undervalued right now and he's actually starting to pitch better right now, I kind of like that. And he does have really good numbers against Arizona, although, of course, a lot of them are back when he was really good, probably before his injuries. But still, you got to take note. In 50 at-bats, a 17-3 strikeout walk ratio, 160 average allowed, and 448 OPS. Alcantara has been really good specifically against Arizona, even though they do have a good offense. And he's up against Brandon Pfaadt, who is arguably the worst of the two pitchers at this point. 5.49 ERA, 1.39 whip. That's not good. He's been better at home, though. 4.08 ERA at home. So Pfaadt has the advantage of the splits, whereas Alcantara doesn't. But Pfaadt is in the worst form right now. He has a 7 ERA this month, has allowed 7 more hits than innings pitched. 16-5 strikeout walk ratio is not that bad, but he's not been great, man, this month. Going 5 innings exactly in the last 3 and 3 innings to start before that. And the start before that was the outing where he allowed 8 runs without even recording an out. So, I mean, he's just been pretty bad recently. And against Miami, his numbers are actually not good. In 31 at-bats, 4-4 strikeout walk ratio, 355 average, and 928 OPS. So I have a slight lean to Miami, but this is similar to the Red Sox and Toronto situation because, yeah, I have a slight lean to Miami here. Arizona has plummeted down from -180 to -145. 81% of tickets, 98% of the cash. I think that's reverse line movement against the public Arizona team. So the market actually looks like it is kind of agreeing with the Miami side here. And yeah, I mean, that is the way that I lean in this game is Miami. But, well, I mean, you could do it full game as well because the bullpens are both in bad shape here. So I don't mind full game or first 5 innings if you want to just focus on the starting pitching matchup and not worry about the bullpens. Miami money line first 5 innings makes sense as well. The only issue is that, just like I said with Boston, when a team returns home from a road trip and they do bad, like Arizona did yesterday, losing ugly to a bad team, they tend to refocus after they were in that distracted spot and they do better the next time out. But Arizona, because they have so many pitching injuries at this point and they have some offensive injuries as well, they might kind of be headed, out of the playoff picture, man. So we'll see, but Arizona might not be good enough this year, man. Unfortunately for them, because Burns was a huge piece for them and now he's done for the year, and that's just really, really going to hurt them. Philadelphia at Atlanta is the other play that I have today, which is an under in the first 5 innings. Under 4, you can find it even money right now. I'm going to focus just on the starting pitching here. On the surface, it just looks like a good starting pitching matchup, and that's what I'm going with here. Philadelphia, I don't like their bullpen, as we know. That's well documented. Their bullpen's not very good. Atlanta's isn't that good either. So I'm going to take the bullpens out of the equation. Yesterday, Atlanta lost 13-0, which I did lean to Philadelphia yesterday. I thought it was a nice bounce-back spot for them. Philadelphia didn't use much of their bullpen yesterday. They used Rangel, however you pronounce his name. They used him to finish the game off, and actually it looks like Abel tried to start the game and got hurt, so I don't know what happened there. He didn't throw any pitches, though, so I don't know what the deal was there, why he's even in the box score. I don't know what happened. Like, he stood on the mound and then left. I don't understand, because I handicapped the game like he was starting. He didn't, so the Phillies went with a bullpen game, but they actually kind of saved their bullpen. But I still don't trust their bullpen because it's not that good. Braves had to use a lot of their bullpen because Bryce Elder was terrible again yesterday. So the Braves bullpen is pretty unrested right now. So again, we'll take the bullpens out of this equation because I don't like the bullpens. But I like the starting pitching matchup. Luzardo is pitching. I know his numbers don't look that great after he was really, really good to start the season. He had 2 awful starts in a row, which skyrocketed his ERA and whip up. He's up to 4.08 on the ERA, 1.37 whip. He's been worse on the road, 4.43 ERA. Those splits aren't that significant, but I think he's returning to form now, man. He's coming off a good start against the Mets, shut them out for 6 2/3, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 hits allowed. That tells me he's back in command again. Has a 23-7 strikeout walk ratio this month. Has alternated good and bad starts, though, so he would be in line for a bad start if you look at that. But his good starts have been against the better teams, against the Cubs and the Mets. So it's almost like he's stepping it up against the teams that matter more. So I don't think he's going to be in a letdown spot here, man. I think he's going to do well in this next start here. Overall, 23-7 strikeout walk ratio is fine this month. 5.85 ERA is not good, but that's because he had one of those really bad starts against Toronto, which I know his last 2 starts on the road were both really bad as well. But I think he's coming back into form here, man. And again, he's stepping up against these divisional foes. He did pitch well in this ballpark at Atlanta earlier this year. 6 innings, gave up 1 run, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. So even though that does mean Atlanta's familiar with him and they will be facing him again, they were already familiar with him, and he pitched well against him, and he does have good numbers against him in his career. 110 at-bats, 34-11 strikeout walk ratio, 245 average, and 696 OPS. So Luzardo has been good against the Braves. He's up against Wnba, who I like as well. 3.21 ERA, 0.99 whip. He's been good on the season. He's been better at home, 2.64 ERA, so his split's more significant, and he's been better at home, has the advantage of the splits. He's coming off winning 3 straight games, or his team has won 3 straight games. He got a win in 2 of them. Atlanta has actually won, even though we're not looking at the side here, they've actually won 7 of his last 9 starts. He is also coming off 2 straight starts against the Mets, but this is the Phillies, man. You know Atlanta's going to pay attention to the Phillies here. And I know these teams are good offenses, which is another thing. Like, the public's going to want the over in a game like this. Atlanta against, especially with 13 runs scored yesterday, Atlanta and Philadelphia, it looks like, oh, this is going to be a hitting fiasco, right? But I don't think so against these 2 good pitchers. Wnba's in good form, 3.41 ERA this month, 25-5 strikeout walk ratio. And against Philadelphia, he has pretty good numbers in 76 at bats, 17-3 strikeout walk ratio, 250 average, 607 OPS. So even though both pitchers are familiar to the hitters, they're both really good pitchers, and they've both done well against these offenses in the past. The total is basically sitting at 8 with a little bit less juice on the over for the full game. 56% of tickets, 89% of cash on the under. But I am recommending full game under. And the money is coming in on Atlanta. I don't disagree with that either. I prefer Wnba a little bit over Luzardo, but I don't love the Atlanta bullpen situation at all here. So worried about the bullpens, although Philadelphia's bullpen, again, isn't great either. Atlanta up from -145 to -150. 53% of cash on them, but 58% of tickets on Philadelphia. So the cash is also on Atlanta. Looks like a little bit of a stronger market rate on the under, and I'm doing it first 5 innings in that one. So that's going to be that one. Let's finish it off. Cubs, Houston. McCullers coming back in this game. Houston won 5 games in a row. They won again yesterday. Houston is hot right now. Playing well at home. They're good at home, but the Cubs basically saved their whole bullpen yesterday. Horton didn't do well, and they brought in Flexen to just finish the game off. So Houston, even though they have the better of the 2 bullpens, Chicago's isn't that bad. The Cubs bullpen is more well-rested. But I do not like the starting pitcher for the Cubs here, Colin Ray. I mean, he had good numbers early in the season. I told you he was going to regress, and that has happened. 4.42 ERA, 1.39 whip. Don't love it. His home road splits are not very significant. He's not in good form right now. I mean, he's coming off giving up 7 runs and 4 home runs to the Seattle Mariners, which is not great. Has a 5.57 ERA this month in 4 starts. Didn't do well against the offenses that are better. Philadelphia and Seattle did better against Washington and Pittsburgh because those are bad offenses. Houston is kind of somewhere in the middle, I would say. They're not as bad as those 2 offenses. They're not as good as Philadelphia and Seattle. But overall, he's not pitching well this month. 11-3 strikeout walk ratio, not a high strikeout rate. Doesn't walk a lot of guys typically, but doesn't really blow hitters away at all. Houston has okay offensive numbers, small sample size of 22, 273 average, 759 OPS. So they have okay numbers against Ray. So I do like McCullers here, but he is coming back from injury again, so you do have to take that into consideration. He was making a nice bounce back from that long period of time off, coming off those injuries. Like I said, he had that one really bad start at home where his own fans were threatening his life, which is very bad. Overall, 4.91 ERA, 1.43 whip, but he's been better than that because that one start is really just messing with all of his stats. 9.19 ERA at home just because of that. But other than that, he has not been that bad, although he did have a bad outing last time out against the White Sox. But I think he might have been kind of dealing with that injury again here, so I don't know how much we can really take away from that. So he's only been out of commission for about 2 weeks, a little bit more than that. Made 2 starts in June, 13-5 strikeout walk ratio, 3.27 ERA. Wasn't that bad. He was starting to become himself again and get into good form again. And Houston had won 4 games in a row that he had started, so I think he might do well here. I mean, he is a veteran pitcher at this point, so I know I said it with Eovaldi, so you do have to worry about what is his pitch count going to be here. And he is facing a good offense, and they have 13 at-bats against him. Only 2 of their hitters have seen him before. But they do have a 308 average, although a 692 OPS isn't that high. But it does also mean most of the Cubs hitters are not familiar with McCullers and haven't seen him before. So I still prefer McCullers over Ray in this one. I don't like Houston's overworked bullpen here, so I would say Houston first 5 innings is probably the play. They're down from -125 to -112, but 85% of cash on them, 54% of tickets on the Cubs. The public likes the team with the better offense, the Cubs, and the team with the better record. Looks like the cash is coming in on Houston again, though, so Houston looks like another anti-public play. It's just a matter of McCullers is a little bit of a gamble, so what are we going to get out of him? But he is the better pitcher over Ray if we're going to get a good game out of him. But you do have to worry about Houston's bullpen not being in great shape. So if McCullers may get you through 4 or 5 innings, playing Houston first 5 innings, I think does make some sense in that one. And then finishing it off, Washington and Anaheim. I mean, this game was very high scoring yesterday, 15-9. Both starters did bad. Both bullpens are terrible. So we might be looking at another over here. I don't know, man. I mean, Soroka pitching for the Nats, he's not very good. 5.06 ERA, but his whip is actually good. 1.09 whip is not that bad. He's been worse on the road, though. 5.93 road ERA. He gives up a lot of hard contact, man. That's the problem, because you see, like, 31-8 strikeout walk ratio this month is really good. His team has lost his last 3 outings, though. And, like, what it gives, right? Like, 31-8. Nice strikeout walk ratio. He's only allowed 12 hits in 22 1/3. So some of his peripherals actually look really good. But he's allowed 4 home runs this month, 10 on the season so far, and only 53 1/3 innings. So the long ball is the problem. He gives up way too many home runs. 4.03 ERA this month. So you might say that's a little bit fluky, though. So maybe some of the numbers do suggest Soroka is maybe a little bit better than his numbers look. But against Anaheim, he hasn't been good. It's small sample size, 17 at-bats, but 412 average, allowed 1,059 OPS, not good. Kingery is 4 for 8 with a double and a triple off him. So Soroka may not have the best of the matchup here either. He's up against Kyle Hendricks, who, you know, I've liked to fade him over the last few years because he's kind of he's just an aging veteran at this point with stuff that's not really that good. 4.83 ERA, 1.32 whip, not very good numbers this year. Better at home, 4.2 ERA at home, more serviceable. This month, he's actually been somewhat good. His team had won 3 starts behind him in a row, and he actually did well against the Yankees on the road, which was his best start, surprisingly. 3.52 ERA, 16-5 strikeout walk ratio this month, so he is pitching decently recently. Against Washington, he does have good numbers as well, in 47 at-bats, 170 average, 427 OPS, so it does look like Hendricks has the matchup edge here, but the money's coming in against him. Anaheim down from -135 to -118, 63% of tickets, 52% of the cash. And I think the sentiment is probably thinking that, Anaheim is probably not as good as their record would suggest because they have like a negative run differential, as I pointed out yesterday. So I think Anaheim is not as good as their record suggests. I think that has a lot to do with what's going on with the market here. But I think the matchup actually does favor Anaheim a little bit. The under looks like it's taking money with the total down from 9 to 9, juice to the under, 76% of tickets on the over, especially because of yesterday, 84% of the cash on the under. With both pitchers being a little bit questionable, though, and the bullpens being awful, I would not want to be on an under here. So, yeah, I mean, that's the breakdown of that game. Market seems to disagree with me on the side there a little bit, or more than a little bit. So I'm staying off of it. That's going to do it, man. The 2 plays one more time. Cleveland, money line, and Philadelphia and Atlanta under in the first 5 innings, both Major League Baseball plays. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I do have a Better Off Dead Instagram now, so you can start checking that out. I'm doing some really stupid shorts where I just reiterate my plays. in a less autistic and more stupid way. So that's what I'm trying to do there. Maybe I need to come up with something more gimmicky for that. I don't know, but people have short attention spans. So that's the way that it is. So you can check that out. Patreon.com/Tower Gang if you still want to support the Tower Gang show that may or may not return. You get all the bonus content, though, if you do that, the stuff that's already out there. So there is that. And that's about it, man. So thanks for hanging out. That's going to do it for me for now. And we'll see what I'm going to do with my ukulele content. I'm thinking about doing something. I might be setting up a Patreon soon and maybe be having a little bit of extra content from both this and the ukulele stuff that you would get. I got to figure it out, man. Thanks, Charles. Thank you, sir. That's going to do it for me. Yeah, it's going to try to build up the Instagram. Got to build up this channel as well. So like, subscribe. Thanks to everybody. And peace out. Have a good day. Happy Saturday.